1, 2, 3.
That's what I'm talking about. Beats PlayStation, huh?
We are talking about the movie Dead Body, a new horror thriller mystery movie by Terror Films. Now, this I would say is a cross between Scream, Cluedo with a sprinkling of The Thing. Now, I don't mean it's not a creature feature, but it has the paranoia that the Thing movie has. So what is this story about? It essentially focuses on 9 friends, each of whom have got kind of wildly differing personalities, and they decide that they're going to have this kind of weekend retreat before they all kind of head off to college and kind of go their separate ways. And whilst they're there, they decide to pass the time along with kind of the drinking and partying and everything by playing this game called Dead Body, which is a kind of like, I don't know if it's a real game, but it's a kind of like hide and seek murder mystery style game. But obviously bodies start dropping for real, and there is a killer amongst them, so it's up to the characters in the movie and us as an audience to try and work out who the killer is before they cut a swathe through the remaining survivors. So what do I think of Dead Body? I did kind of like the idea. This almost feels like an interactive horror movie because it's really asking you as the audience to kind of try and piece together clues and try and work out by proxy, you know, who the killer is. Now, I know that's not necessarily a new concept, but I feel it's one that keeps your brain engaged more so than kind of maybe your standard kind of slasher film. Obviously, we've seen it done in kind of Scream, but this really does kind of take you by the hand and kind of really ask you to think about, you know what you've seen and who lives and who dies, etc. So that was quite a fun aspect to it. This movie is surprisingly gory as well for a kind of a mystery film. This definitely has horror elements, and there's some pretty gruesome on-screen kills here. I was actually surprised and taken back by the kind of the level of violence and gore displayed here, because it is pretty gruesome at the time. I mean, not talking Texas Chainsaw Massacre or anything like that, but you know, for a kind of a film like this, it's actually quite it has some fairly good sort of gore effects here. Thought the acting was all pretty decent. I think the cast here do a decent enough job of kind of giving you, at least the majority of the cast, giving you kind of like defined characters who have some kind of believability in them and kind of like are quite likable to a certain degree, each of which who may have got kind of hidden depths. And like I said, I think the mystery here does kind of keep you enthralled to find out what happens next. But what doesn't work, so a few things. First of all, there are a couple of characters that are just not developed at all, so you just know cannon fodder. It's embarrassingly bad how little developed at least 2 of the characters are, and they happen to be the ethnic diverse cast. Anyway, moving on. So what else? This movie has one of those annoying cliches that I can't stand, and I've banged on about in other films that do this. And this is where you see a scene that happens right at the end of the story, but they put it at the beginning of the film, and then it kind of tells the story in a flashback. I do not understand why this is a popular trope in films, because it just deflates attention. Because you just know you're waiting for that scene to happen. You know the people in the scene are clearly going to live, and you know someone who clearly isn't the killer, for example. And you know other key characters aren't around, so you know you're just waiting for them to be bumped off. I don't know why filmmakers still use this bloody trope. It annoys the shit out of me. But it kind of especially is stupid in this because it's asking you to kind of figure out who the killer is. It's clearly giving you some clues. This is the next criticism is also another kind of like trope that this movie does that kind of gives away, I feel, the killer. And it's difficult to tell you what it is, because if I point it out to you, you'll kind of realise that actually that's clearly the killer. But it's a trope where they don't show you something, and that clearly means if you don't see it, you can't guarantee it happened. That's all I'll say. and it's a common thing. If you didn't see it happen on screen, doesn't mean it will say it will happen. I've probably given it away there, but I'm trying to be as vague as I can. So there you go. Walking Dead's done it a couple of times. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so that's kind of annoying as well. I feel it kind of is maybe it tips its hat a little bit too easily about maybe who the killer is and stuff like that. And because of that, I feel for me personally, it did deflate the tension a little bit. So although I feel this movie could be a particularly kind of tension ratcheted movie, because I feel it has these kind of like these kind of things that spoilt it almost, it was a little bit flat in that case. But some people that might not bother, so let's kind of move on from there. Yeah, some of the characters here are clearly kind of cliches as well. Everyone's got their very kind of diverse personality. I mean, even the sleeve of this DVD, you've got the emo, you've got the druggy, etc., etc. So you have all these kind of your trope stereotypes. Why can't there be more than one person of any one stereotype? That's what I want to know. So yeah, they're all there. But overall, I've got to say, despite kind of some of the criticisms I have of this, and they're relatively minor, this really is a pretty fun movie. If you like slasher films, I do feel it ticks enough horror boxes to kind of, tickle that kind of slasher bone for you. If you like kind of mystery movies, and you like to kind of maybe sit there with a pen and paper and work out and think, okay, that person's checked off the list, that person's checked off the list, you can do that as well. So it actually keeps your mind maybe a little more engaged than a lot of kind of films. That was quite fun, and we all enjoy a good murder mystery. So I kind of quite liked it's sticking to its guns and maybe being a bit more kind of like interactive with its audience, and say a lot of other horror films where you can kind of switch your brain off and stuff. Obviously you can do that, and obviously the killer will be revealed at the end, and there you go. So what did you think of it? I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment. I look forward to you next time. Bye for now.